Good morning, and thank you for joining us here for Live Impact News. My name is Eugene Daniel, and typically I'm not here for the 1 to 3, but I have the special blessing to work alongside producer Nia Campbell, who is sitting across from me, and we have meteorologist Taylor Stephenson. Okay, I'm in a great mood because I get to work with them. We are monitoring a few things that are happening today from our nation's capital, but before we get into all of that, we're going to go to Taylor because Taylor, it's not as cold as it was yesterday, but it is still cold, and I don't know if I think that's quote-unquote better. What's the latest on this forecast?
I think it's better. Any improvement, we can take it, because I'd rather not walk out every single day and it feels like 5 degrees. So I'll take it. It's not the greatest, but it's definitely better than yesterday. And we're going to see a warm-up through the next few days as well. So if you're not enjoying the temperatures like Eugene, you may enjoy some temperatures we have later on this week as temperatures rise above normal by the late week. Right now, I am tracking a lot of sunshine here in Hampton Roads, and you can see right now from our Thompson Creek Window Company sky view that it's beautiful, but that sunshine's still not cracking through that cold air at the surface. Right now, temperatures are in the upper 30s at the Norfolk International Airport, but it feels more like the mid 30s. So if you're still out and about, you need to bundle up. You need to still make sure that you have just a couple of layers on here. Just because it is a cold start to our afternoon, and temperatures really won't warm up much throughout the afternoon. Highs today at best in the lower to middle 40s for places around the coast. As you head inland, will be in the upper 40s, still well below normal, but optically very beautiful at this moment, and the sunshine will continue through portions of the day tomorrow. Now, let's give a recap of how we've been over the first half of December now that we're into the second half of the month. The first half of the month, we've only seen one near normal day and one above normal day. Every single day outside of December the 2nd and this past Saturday, December the 13th, has been below normal. Even yesterday marked the coldest day of the month so far, where highs only climbed to near freezing. Now, I want to make this distinguish this. I've heard rumors that people don't know what freezing is. So let's give a little small lesson of what the actual temperature of freezing is.
What rumors? Who?
I've heard that a couple people.
No offense if you don't know.
No. I feel like that's something that you should know.
I caught myself just now.
Yeah, there's something that you should know. I heard someone thought freezing was 21 degrees. I heard someone thought freezing was 19 degrees. Mm-hmm. Freezing is 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius. Okay. So yesterday, Eugene, it's okay to shake your head. This is something that, we should learn.
No judgment here.
As a scientist,
cold is cold.
Cold, yeah, but 19 versus 32, that's a big difference to me. It is. 19 versus 32? Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
It is a big difference, right? But just so you know, 32 degrees is freezing. So yesterday, according to our calendar, we sat right at freezing. That's the highest temperature we saw all day long. That actually marks the coldest day since Christmas Eve 2022. So, coldest December day specifically since Christmas Eve 2022. So, and on that day we were in the teens. So it was a very, very cold day that day, but it's been 3 years almost since we've had a cold December day like yesterday. And as you see, every single day since we've been in December outside of the 2nd and the 13th has been a cold day. But good news is you see those gray and red boxes. We should add on to that over the course of this upcoming week. Right now, here's a look at satellite and radar. High pressure, those blue H's in control for us. That's going to continue to give us sunshine today, but as it slides offshore later on tonight, that will give us some south winds. Those south winds pull in a warmer, more moist air mass, and so tomorrow will be significantly warmer than today. Right now, radar for us is sweeping very quiet, and over the course of the next hour or two, again, we may climb a degree or two. Highs around the coast in the upper 30s to the mid 40s. As you head inland, we'll be getting closer to 50 degrees. So places like Franklin, Emporia, Wakefield, Eugene, you may need to take maybe just a day trip out to the I-95 corridor, maybe head to Emporia for the day just so you can thaw out a little bit before I'm seeing a shake, a no.
If it's cold outside, you won't see me.
It's warmer inland, though.
What is warmer?
Like,
exactly.
Like 50.
Okay, that's fine.
See, okay, so you may catch Eugene and Emporia today, just to thaw out just a little bit. But if you don't feel like driving out there, tomorrow will be in the 50s here in Norfolk. So you may not have to travel that far for tomorrow. But as we head through the course of the day today, you'll see by 9 o'clock temperatures drop back down to the lower 30s to the mid 30s. Some places in rural areas maybe in the upper 20s. But I'm going to take my pointer out so you can kind of see this pattern. Look at how the south winds come back into play. They're moving from North Carolina through Virginia. That's going to pull in that warmer air for tomorrow. Now, tonight, it will be a clear night that will allow for temperatures to cool off. We call this radiational cooling. When you don't have cloud cover that blocks some of that heat and keeps it in, it allows for the earth to really cool off overnight. So temperatures inland in portions of the south side are in the upper 20s. As you head towards the coastline for the south side will be near freezing. For the peninsulas, upper 20s to mid 30s with clear skies. Down in northeastern North Carolina, a bit warmer around the Outer Banks, upper 30s, but as you head inland, much colder, upper 20s to near freezing. So tomorrow, a cold start, but we'll stay clear through most of the morning. By the afternoon, though, clouds will really build in. Highs tomorrow, right near normal, right at 54, 55 degrees. That's where we should be for mid-December day here in the 757 and the 252. But the cloud cover is kind of your indicator that we have some rain on the way for us here. Later on this week, we have rain in the forecast late Thursday into Friday morning. And as we continue through the morning on Friday, we could have some pockets of some heavier downpours. Now, that may impact the morning commute, but it looks like by the time you get to around 7 o'clock, on your Friday, 7 a.m. on your Friday, it looks like a lot of the heaviest rainfall will be offshore. We may still see some lingering rainfall during the commute, so just make sure you have the umbrella. You may have the windshield wipers just a couple of times. After that, the rain moves out fairly quickly, so by the afternoon on Friday, we should see some clearer skies and temperatures will be in the 50s. But if you were worried about what Christmas week may look like, this is your look ahead to what to possibly expect from the start of Christmas week through the day after Christmas. And it looks like temperatures will be in the upper 40s and lower 50s through most of it. So slightly below normal, but not freezing like we had just yesterday. And tomorrow will be the warmest day of the next at least 10 with lower 60s in the forecast. So overall, not the worst pattern we can be in. I rather see us climb than see us fall from where we were yesterday. Temperatures will be in the lower 60s by Thursday, the warmest day of the week. That cold front moves through Friday, bringing us rain, and then behind that front, a shot of colder air. Upper 40s for Saturday. We're back to the upper 50s on Sunday. So, Eugene, I know you like to be outside. So, if you want to be outside this weekend, Sunday's your best bet. And then as we get into Christmas week, then temperatures start to cool down again to the upper 40s and lower 50s.
Yeah, in the spirit of the holidays, I do like to have a jolly good time outdoors. There's this word in the newsroom that I'm always outside, and that is simply not true. But I will say, when it's in the 60s, more than likely, I have a better chance of doing so. You know, it's interesting, Taylor, as I'm serious here. The 60s in the middle of December, that's the reason why I loved my move to Hampton Roads. Coming here from the Midwest, from Illinois, I would pray for days like these. And so that's why I was talking in jest but kind of serious. You know, the temperatures we had earlier this week where it was feeling as though it was in, or was that earlier this week? Was that just yesterday?
That was yesterday morning.
That's how long it felt.
Yeah, it did feel, I will say it did feel like a long day. It was so cold.
You know, those are not the days in which I imagined I would really be experiencing here.
Yeah.
You know, in my 5 years, there have not been too many days that have felt like yesterday. And so to see it come back to what we say is normal, around the 50s, I'm excited about that. Now, a lot of people are probably thinking ahead to next week. You're kind of hitting to that too. Not going to be a white Christmas more than likely on the holiday.
Most likely not. And if it would try to be like that, it would probably have to be those. It would have to come during the morning time at best. But even those temperatures, still near the upper 30s, would make it a little bit less likely. So, yeah, we shouldn't really see a white Christmas. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. And for me, I wish we could have had one. I've been smacked in the face with snowflakes 3 times already this month. So I would have wished it could have come on Christmas. But, that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
I don't mind minor snowflakes. I really don't. There are people who love, love, love the snow, like Naya. Naya loves the snow. I hear that's her favorite. I was actually joking. Do you actually like the snow?
I do
Being
like
from
the
Florida,
snow,
I'm
and I
actually
feel
surprised by that.
it's because I didn't get to experience it.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, I feel like everyone at the station is like a cold weather hater. What is going on? Why does everybody like warm, hot weather?
I believe that I have an excuse for that. Again, having spent 8 years, 9 years in central Illinois, when you experience negative 37
Oh, see, that's too.
Oh my
with
gosh.
14 inches of snow one winter, like at one moment in one setting, not cumulative, like in one setting, you have different, to me, growing up in the South and then moving there, it's a different experience. That's why I say I can handle it. It's cool when it happens every once in a while. Sometimes it's just fun to kind of act like I'm a Grinch and I'm not. I'll be like, man, I kind of like this. But consistent? No.
That's
Yeah.
why I feel like it's good here. 'Cause it's like a mix.
Yeah, I like my winter weather in doses. Like, I can take a snow day. Like, the February snow day we had with 13 inches of snow, like, that's enough. We don't have to have any more snow after that. I'm okay. Like, that was cool. Chief Meteorologist Tim Bandages and I were talking yesterday. He completely disagrees. He wishes he could have this winter specifically at least 2 or 3 days like the one we had in February with 13 inches of snow. And I told him, absolutely not. I will take 13 inches total, please. Thank you.
It just changes everything. I mean, it's cool to look at in bunches. You know what? Okay, Tim might be able to win me over because I'm thinking about days in which we did have that where I was previously, and it was cool to go out and you can, if you're a kid, you can play with it.
Yeah.
If you're a big kid, an adult, you can play in it, throw those
Yeah.
snowballs and all those kind of things, and you can take the pictures and all of that. But when it comes time to getting around, see, that's the thing. Here, we tend to kind of shut things down. Maybe that's why my experience was so jaded. We still had to do stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that might be a little bit different. And that's just because you're in a different region. I'm looking at this on the 7-day forecast, Taylor, and I know you hit it. The rain likely on Friday.
Yeah.
Looking at that, obviously it's near 60 high, so it's not going to become an ice issue. But are we thinking it's going to be a lot of rain across the area? Give me a kind of
that's a good question. Let's go ahead
likely.
And look at the rain chances through the week, and give a little bit of an update of what we could see. So give me 1 second as I
because Naya has plans, and so I don't want to rain on her parade.
They're really my plans.
I have plans when?
Friday.
Oh. Yeah, those are Taylor plans.
Yeah, those are. I invited Naya to. Well, Connor actually set up the plans. Connor Rio, and then
He was the organizer.
he was the organizer. But it's at my house with my television with my resources.
Wait a second. While you continue the search for that, this is I got issues with this. Where's my invite been?
Would you actually come if I invited you?
Not this Friday.
Silence.
I got a plan.
Silence.
Exactly.
Silence.
I already have something
Silence.
planned on Friday. That's all. I have
And
to
that's
be
why we say
somewhere
he's
else.
outside.
But if you don't invite me, I can't come. I
Well,
can't do what I do.
you already uninvited yourself just saying that you
Yeah.
already have something.
I do actually have something going on. But what are our rain chances looking like on Friday? I see 50%, but what does that mean?
Yeah, so 50% just means that we're thinking scattered showers in the area. Here's a look at the rainfall forecast, and I'm going to change this. We do this all the time here on Live Impact. Sometimes we got to change the graphics in real time just because some of these graphics don't automatically update. So I'm just going to say this is through Friday. And you can kind of see me type this as I go, which will be helpful actually to use for the evening shows today. So you now says through Friday. And here's a look at what to expect. So dry, dry, dry. This is through Wednesday. Here's Thursday. Here comes Friday. And then this is Friday evening. I'm going to go back a little bit. Some of these models are a little bit out of range just because Friday, when you get to about 3 days out, some of these models don't go that far. So here's through about 4 a.m. on Friday is where our graphics stop. And you can see 1/2 inch to 1 inch of rainfall here across the entire viewing area. So we may see some heavy downpours, but it's not going to be a complete washout across the area. Now, I will say, I want to pull up our almanac because that will show us like how much rain we need here in Hampton Roads. So here's a look at yesterday's almanac. Now, for those of you wondering, why aren't you using today's almanac? We don't get our high temperatures until about 3 to 4 o'clock, so you wouldn't even have any data for today so far. But yesterday, again, you see the high of 32 degrees. We hit that at about 3:35 p.m. So usually our highs right now between 3 and 4 o'clock, and that put us about 23 degrees below normal yesterday. Now, I wanted you to look at pay attention to the bottom right portion of your screen where it says yearly departure. That means how many inches of rainfall are we underneath year to date? And we are 5 inches underneath where we should be for this time of year. Now, I will say, people may ask, what about the snow that we had, a few days ago? Snow melts, right? And so the amount of liquid water that comes from snow is way less than what it actually is in the total inches of snow. So here in Norfolk, I think we got 0.8 of an inch of snowfall at the Norfolk International Airport that only correlated to 0.2 of an inch in water. So it doesn't really do much when it comes to actually adding on to how much water we need here. But good news is, even though we're fairly below where we should be in terms of our rainfall totals, we actually aren't that bad when it comes to the drought. We're in an abnormally dry conditions. That's a first level drought. All through Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina, you head just immediately to the west, and they're underneath a moderate drought now. So we definitely can use the rain. The rain on Friday, while it can be annoying to have rain, this will actually be super helpful for the area in terms of agriculture and just overall vegetation. But you can see we're abnormally dry for the entire area, but no moderate or severe drought at the moment. So the rain for Friday will be helpful.
Okay, so it'll be helpful. We want it to rain, maybe not on a Friday if there were any way that we could do something on that. But that's good for people to kind of keep in mind as they do have their plans, people trying to get out and about. And maybe even getting an early jump on their travel too over the weekend to get to see family and wherever they're going to do maybe some kind of holiday destination. People do all kinds of things with that week leading into the holiday. Anything else though, Taylor, that we need to know over the next several days as people either make those plans or try to finish out this work week?
No, I mean, the last day for most school days is on Friday. Because you have Christmas week coming up. Some places may have the Monday or Tuesday where they still have it, but I think a lot of people's last day before the holiday stretch between Christmas, Kwanzaa, and New Year is Friday. So if you're traveling on Friday, just know you will have some rain to run into during the morning time. And as Eugene said, you don't really want rain on a Friday, but at least it's coming through Friday morning. By the afternoon, we won't be even talking about rain anymore, so that's good news. And then the rest of the weekend for the travel period looks to be very dry. So I'm not expecting any types of delays, at least through the weekend. It just will be a little bit on the cooler side on Saturday.
Okay. All right. Taylor, we appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
And,
I do want to mention one thing, though, that's not weather related. And
Okay,
I want
what's
to loop
up?
in Naya on this.
Okay.
Because we had this conversation yesterday. So, Eugene, you may not know that our lovely management and sales team created stickers of the entire weather team.
I heard.
Okay, yeah, the stickers are actually kind of cool, but my stickers were stolen, and I had a pack of stickers, and I went to go bring them here to Live Impact News yesterday, and I could not find my stickers. So immediately, Connor Reel blames Nia Campbell for stealing stickers. And he said that she went to go get lip gloss yesterday and it was actually her stealing stickers. So Nia was suspect number one. Come to find out, just a few hours later, the actual suspect Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandages.
Get out of here.
He stole my stickers, and he admitted to my face that he stole them from me. And then he was like, I'm so sorry, Taylor. I'm going to get you some more stickers. I was like, thank you. I forgive you. But I want to vindicate Naya in this moment.
Let me find out Tim is Chief Thief.
He is Chief Thief. That's what I'm calling today.
God.
Chief Thief.
Chief Thief. Meteorologist.
When
Tim
Taylor came and
Pandages.
told me that, I was like, wow. So I was just blamed for no reason. There was no real evidence. She believed Connor's. Oh my God, it was just.
I had no other evidence to go off of.
It happens to the worst, best of us.
And I had no alibi because I didn't think I was going to get blamed for something like this.
It's okay. Well, I appreciate you coming on here on this program and speaking your truth and getting the facts out there. That way that there was no form of investigation into Naya and her activities.
Yes.
You are innocent.
Thank you.
And remember that the next time Taylor has some kind of pickle, you may not want to so quickly give her the benefit of the
I
doubt.
wasn't the one who brought the allegations. I just
You
listened.
Yeah.
believed him, though. You believed him. A good friend would have never believed him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad we cleared the air on that. Appreciate you, Taylor,
Of
and
course.
everything that you do, and all of our meteorologists. And, it's a good time, I think, also to bring up all of the things that we have on this platform,
Right.
13 News Now Plus. If you are interested in weather, we know a lot of people are constantly trying to get updates and understanding what's going to happen, particularly around this time of year for the reasons that we mentioned. And we do have the Weather Impact 24/7. That is right here on 13 News Now Plus. We have Craig has a show 9 o'clock, every morning, 9 to 9:30. That is the weather desk. And what other features do we have, Taylor, for people to be updated consistently when it comes to the forecast and what's happening with our weather?
We also have weather, we call them weather nuggets, but they're really like weather stories where we sometimes dive into the science behind things or just even fun facts that we pull up. I'm sure Tim will do one on how yesterday was the coldest December day we've seen in 3 years. Stuff like that that can kind of just add a little bit to the weather story. And so we produce those stories once a week. Each of us produces one story a week. So I'm sure I'll have one for you tomorrow. I'm probably going to go more into holiday history about weather and that kind of terms so that you guys can figure out like how the holidays really shake out in Hampton Roads. Or even Tim mentioned a really cool science fact is this is the fourth coldest start to December ever at the Norfolk International Airport.
Wow.
Every month above us, so top 3 months, produced, for the wintertime, produced 10 inches or more of snow. So those coldest December months produced big snowfalls for the wintertime. So, Tim was just happy. He was excited. And so I think that's a really cool story to talk about too, how we've had a really cold start. That may be foreshadowing for what's to come for winter. For sure. So that's another thing that we do produce, and you can either find that here on 13 News Now Plus or 13newsnow.com.
We also, I know for hurricane season, we had the Hurricane Fast Facts YouTube playlist. Do we have a Weather Nuggets playlist as well on YouTube?
I'm not too sure about that one.
So I'm sure there's somewhere where you can find those videos and rewatch them if you don't catch them live.
Yeah, you can rewatch them on the Weather Impact 24/7 stream. They run in there as well. But I don't know if I would have to ask the digital team if there's like a actual playlist where you don't have to watch the stream to like wait for it to come up. You can just like choose which video you want to watch. But we'll find more information about that, later on today, and I'll share that later.
Okay. All right, Taylor, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for all the work that you do. And it's crazy to think that we're having that kind of start to December and it is still not winter.
No, winter starts on Sunday at 10:03 a.m. Bless you. At 10:03 a.m. Winter has not come yet. So this is the last few days of fall. So I'm a little not concerned because that's just my own Southern heart concerned about winter. I'm intrigued. That's the better word. Intrigued about how the winter will shake out if we've already started this cold already.
Okay. All right. Let's not say any more. Let's not jinx it and do any worse than what we already got. But I appreciate you, Taylor. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I'll be expecting that invite to whatever's going on via text message. I will gracefully
whatever is going
decline.
on. It's a very important night.
I will
but you would know
gracefully.
You would know. It's a very important night for me.
I'll put one of those, next time, that kind of thing.
You're an anchor on ABC. It's a very important night for ABC, ESPN, Disney, and Taylor Stephenson. So Figure it out and come talk to me later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you might need somebody to be there to hand you some tissues at the end of it. Anyway, we're talking about football. I believe that means that her Oklahoma Sooners will be playing on Friday. That's all I can assume.
How dare you?
That's all I can assume.
How dare you?
Who are you playing?
Don't talk. I don't want to talk because you're already a hater. So I'm not even talking to her.
playing?
No, you're a hater. You're a hater. You're a hater.
This is a good time to plug it right here on 13 News Now.
You're a hater. I'm not gonna talk no more about
Oklahoma
it.
versus
Are you
who?
already?
Naya, can you please get that information real quick before we move to the next thing?
Alabama, right?
Is it Alabama? Oklahoma versus Alabama.
Again.
Okay, y'all have a good chance. That's good.
You just said you're gonna hear me
Good
tissue.
chance. Yeah.
You're just a hater. It's okay. We have a lot of haters.
You know,
We have a lot of
shout out.
haters.
Shout out to the
We
haters.
have,
out
yeah,
there.
we have a lot of haters. That's all right. That's all right.
Shout out to the haters.
We beat the allegations every time. It's all right.
You know, it'll build character.
Yeah.
Build character.
I haven't seen Elon in anything, so anyways.
You know. Okay. Okay.
Yikes.
Proud Elon University alum. All right.
It's getting cold in here.
Burr.
It's cold outside too. All right, let's transition to something real quick. Naya, if you can roll with me on this, I want to give an update to that situation out of Brown University. I pulled up in Scan PC two things: the latest renderings from who officials, federal agents, and police there in the area are looking for. Right now, there is a $50,000 award for anyone with information that could lead to the ID, arrest, and conviction of the person that you see there right on your screen. This is who police say was the person responsible for that deadly mass shooting on the campus of Brown University on Saturday, December 13th, where we know 2 people died and at least 9 people were injured in that shooting. Now, there was a person who was taken into custody, who was detained as a person of interest, but then authorities did give an update and say they did not have anything to link that individual with this shooting. Therefore, now it brings us to where we are now, where they're still looking for someone in that case. I want to read for you the latest tweet by the FBI Director Kash Patel. That too is on Scan PC here, Naya. I'm going to read that as I read it. We can come to it. Yeah. So he says an update. This came late last night around 8 p.m. He said, at this time, the FBI continues to act in an assisting role with the Providence Police Department leading the investigations, that they will continue to provide all assets, resources, and personnel necessary to support, saying that they sent additional resources and personnel earlier today. This was yesterday, and I'm assuming they're continuing to help track down any leads, to canvass the neighborhoods, to develop any intelligence. Said that their team is remaining on campus to process that. The lab at Quantico is also helping with this, and they, say that anything that Rhode Island authorities need from the federal office, the FBI, that they will be there to support. Those photos that we showed you, those are the newest photos of the person of interest, in which they want to figure out who that person is, they believe is directly connected to the shooting. Now, as you can see there, you can't see this person's face. So, at this point, it is hard, even for me, really, to identify any facial features there. I can try to make some assumptions based on skin tone, in which we see there, but we don't know a lot about this individual, and the thing is, that is what police are trying to figure out. It's definitely a terrible tragedy. We were talking about this yesterday on the stream about how many school shootings there have been in the course of 2025, and looking at the situation here unfolding with Brown University, of there being multiple students on campus who expressed that this is not even their first time dealing with a school shooting. There have been several reports of students, one in which was an actual victim at her high school in California, and now she had become a gun violence anti-gun violence advocate. She goes to Brown University, and here there's another situation in which she is on the campus and this happens. There are a few different stories of that taking place from the stories from students who were there on campus who say this was not their first time. And we also know that there is a direct tie between that shooting at Brown University and here in Virginia. Naya, I do not know if I had pulled this up. Let me see. I wanted to pull up a GoFundMe page that I thought that I had queued up. Do you see anything on there, a GoFundMe page at all? I can look forward to. Here, let me see.
Maybe you pulled it up in a different browser. Let me see.
Let me see. Yeah, maybe I did X out of that before I start talking here. Nope, I don't see it there. But let me do that here real quick. I can do it because I want to make sure people see this. There we go. So here's what we know about the link between that deadly shooting at Brown University and here in Virginia. We know that one of those who was killed was a freshman student who had just graduated high school from Midlothian High School. That's about 20 or so minutes outside of Richmond, Virginia, out of the Chesterfield County Public School System. His name is right there, as his family has created a GoFundMe page for him. You could see there saying that Muhammad Aziz Umarskov was tragically taken from us in that shooting. Incredibly kind. He's described as funny and smart. Said he had big dreams of becoming a neurosurgeon. He wanted to help people. His family says that he continues to be their family's biggest role model in all aspects, and always lent a helping hand to anyone in need without hesitation, was kind-hearted, and incredibly devastated by the loss, says the family, and they're asking for any donations. And I bring that up because, Naya, do you see the number there that has already been raised for this young man's family in just a matter of 2 or 3 days? They had a goal originally of $460,000 to help with expenses there, and you can see now that the number is at $431,000 that has been raised as people look to support this particular family. Let's see, I believe there might be some more photos that we have here on the GoFundMe page. Here we go. And you can see this young man there again had just gotten on campus. This is December, so this is only the first semester of his freshman year. There is footage that is on the school division's website that shows the moments in which he graduated. And you just, certainly your heart goes out to this family. And we talked about it yesterday on our stream, that as a parent or, someone who has a maybe younger sibling or older sibling, a student who goes to a college, a university, this is the last thing that you expect or would think could or would or should happen to your loved one. As a student, you want to go and you want to be able to just pursue your dreams, just like this young man was doing at Brown University. Brown, an Ivy League school, best of the best. And for this to take place, it's obviously devastating for this family. As you see pictures that they have posted and shared here on GoFundMe. Obviously, that looks like him at a much younger age. Looks like with his sister, who I believe is the person who launched this particular page. I'm just kind of going through some of these pictures here. But for those who want to fundraise, if you can help me with that now and getting back, that's the way for you to do so, just to the page where we have pictures. But that is the latest kind of tie to see there with that young man losing his life there. One of our ABC affiliates in the Richmond area says that a friend described him as being a ball of joy. We have the U.S. ambassador to Uzbekistan, who shared condolences to the family following his death. I'm going to read that to you as well. It says, "I'm deeply saddened by reports of the tragic death of this Brown University student. We extend our condolences for his family, friends, fellow students as they mourn the loss of his bright future." The other student who died in that shooting, again, 2 students died, was Ella Cook. She was from Alabama. None of the two victims had been identified publicly by law enforcement just yet, but we know this from family accounts that the individuals had been the ones who passed away in that deadly shooting. So again, if we can go back to the images of the individual that they're looking for, this is a $50,000 reward for anybody who is able to to identify, give a tip that can help authorities locate, arrest, and convict this individual that we're going to pull up here one more time on your screen. Again, unknown suspect there out of this Providence, Rhode Island area for that shooting at Brown University. So I just wanted to put that up there real quick for people to be able to see. That is the latest out of that shooting. Okay, I told you we were monitoring a few things as well out of Washington, D.C. Big conversations today have been the economy, affordability, healthcare, and the Epstein files. And we've been hearing from Democrats and Republicans today talking about healthcare. Tomorrow we're expecting for House Republicans to present a bill on the floor that they say will lower health care costs for all Americans. This is in response to the recent calls for people to find some kind of action, knowing that the deadline for the Affordable Care Act tax subsidies are going to expire in less than 2.5 weeks on January 1st, in which by many accounts, experts, policy experts have said that people's bills, their premiums are going to skyrocket if nothing is done to address that situation. You have both Republicans and Democrats, some Republicans, most Democrats calling for an extension of those tax subsidies. Well, it does not look like that is going to happen. The bill that is going to be on the floor tomorrow does not include that extension. It also does not include putting additional money into health savings accounts, which, if you remember, was what the Senate Republicans pushed just last week when it failed in the Senate. Democrats' version to extend those tax credits also failed last week as well. But it does add a few other contingencies, according to Republicans, to try to lower those costs, including looking at what has largely been considered as the middleman when it comes to medications and drug prices. We're talking about pharmacy benefit managers. They want to impose new transparency requirements. That's the group that's kind of in between the pharmacists and the manufacturers for pharmaceuticals, and they kind of set the prices oftentimes. And pharmacists have been raising alarms over the years about how that impacts the prices that they have to then offer to their clients, people coming in. And so what we want to do right now, we got a list of press conferences that have taken place throughout the day right now, and you can hear straight from your people, your elected officials. First, I think, though, we're going to start with the Democrats on the Epstein files here, because that is the most recent that has taken place just within the last hour. You have Senator Chuck Schumer, who was speaking. They are making a push to keep in the forefront what was believed to be some form of push or investigation or releasing of files. And so let's see what they had to say here within the last hour.
Okay, thank you, everybody, and I'm proud to be joined by my colleagues here. We have had a task force focusing on this issue, and these members and some others are active and proud members of our task force. So, look, 27 days ago, every single senator sent Donald Trump a clear and simple message: release the Epstein files. Congress passed a law, not a suggestion, not a request. The law requires DOJ to release the files by Friday, December 19th. In 3 days, President Trump has a choice: follow the law and release the files, or break the law and continue to hide the truth from the American people. Let me be blunt. We fully expect Trump, Bondi, and their minions to dodge, delay, or partially release these files. If they release some documents and hide others, the American people will see right through it, and they'll ask the obvious question. We are all asking the obvious question that looms. President Trump, what are you trying to hide? President Trump, what are you trying to hide? That's the question the American people are asking. Now, over the past few weeks, Senate Democrats, including my colleagues here with me, have been preparing for every scenario. We're working with the victims' attorneys. We're working with legal experts. We're working with people very familiar with this case to ensure full compliance of the law. If the administration withholds some documents unlawfully, we will know. If they abuse narrow exemptions to hide the truth, we will know. And there will be serious legal and political consequences. This law passed with near unanimous support. The survivors deserve the truth, and the American people are demanding it. This isn't political. Democrats and Republicans agree. The American people deserve the truth. So, Donald Trump, release the Epstein files. Stop hiding. Stop delaying. Come clean with the American people. And if you don't, the question will only get louder and louder and louder. Trump, what the hell are you trying to hide? Senator Wyden's done great work on the financial end of this and has been a great member of our team. Ron.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, Amy, you go first.
Now, please.
Amy goes next.
Go. You're closer to the microphone.
Thank my colleagues, and there are two cover-ups that need to be discussed this morning. The first involves the Department of Justice, and that is urgent business that we're focused on this week. The second cover-up is being conducted by the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, and it deals with the financial aspects of how the sex trafficking came to be. So let's talk about them one at a time. First, as Senator Schumer said, there's good reason to be skeptical of whatever spin the Trump administration puts out on Friday. Here's why. This wouldn't be the first time Bondi tried to trick the public with a binder full of chicken feed. That's what she did back in the spring, which infuriated MAGA voters who took Trump and his cronies at their word that they'd release the files. Second, the cushy treatment by the Trump administration of Ms. Maxwell is totally unacceptable. She was right at the heart of the most notorious sex trafficking ring in modern American history. Despite that, Donald Trump himself said a pardon for Maxwell is on the table. Third, the Trump administration did assign hundreds of FBI agents to look at the Epstein file, but it wasn't to hunt down any more pedophiles. It was really to comb through the files for Donald Trump's name. Why? To protect him from public scrutiny. From the beginning, that's what they focused on with respect to Epstein. So Trump and Bondi do not deserve the benefit of the doubt. Second, we need to look at what Scott Bessent and the Treasury Department is up to here. They've got another massive set of Epstein files. It is a critical fight for transparency and to find out how this horrendous sex trafficking operation was funded. For nearly 4 years, Finance Committee investigators have been on this, and we have been following the money. And to do that, you've got to get access at the Treasury Department to the records that we have seen. The staff of major Republicans have seen them, and the file is made up of thousands and thousands of bank documents. And my investigators say that it is a financial roadmap into how Epstein hurt so many families. It shows who was paying Epstein and where his money was going. It shows what banks enabled his trafficking despite evidence of money laundering and despite the knowledge that he was a sex offender. It shows payments that look like the result of blackmail. It shows big outflows of money to Eastern Europe, Turkey, and Russia, and it includes the names of women and girls. My investigators saw a large portion of these records in 2024 under the Biden administration, but the Trump administration is denying us the file today. It's important for the American people to find out how all of this was financed, and that means getting our hands on the file to investigate further. The Secretary of Treasury, Mr. Besant, has refused now multiple times to hand it over to our investigators. Ridiculous excuses, again and again. So we have introduced legislation to compel him to turn this over to Senate investigators. And I will tell you that Epstein survivors are already filing suit, against banks because they think that this information is so critical to finding out how they were exploited. So it is time for the stonewalling to end. That's why I so appreciate what my colleagues have done to get this information out on Friday, and the administration is required by law to release the Epstein files at DOJ. I'm here to say it's got to be done at the Treasury Department as well, because we find in America you capture corruption by following the money, and that's what was so critical at this point to the second investigation. Thank you, Leader Schumer, and I thank my colleagues. Senator Klobuchar has been working very well on this, and we appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator Wyden. Thanks for following the money, something that's our creed as my former job as prosecutors. Whenever you're solving a case from the smallest theft to big rings, and I appreciate that. So let's remember what this is all about. This is about exploitation and abuse. These victims deserve justice, they deserve transparency, and they deserve accountability. Example, Danielle Bensky, 17, recruited into Epstein's circle. Her mom had a brain tumor, and Epstein told her he could help her mom, but only if she abided by his demands, including recruiting other girls. He told her, I can use it to help you, or I can make it very difficult for your mother. That horrific crime, one of many, is why the House voted 427-1 to release the files and why the Senate unanimously passed the bill on Senator Schumer's motion. That bill set a specific deadline, December 19th, and it is a must. It's not a may, it's a must. And it says that no record shall be withheld, delayed, or redacted on the basis of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity. With this deadline, they will show whether they are really going to stop covering up or they're going to protect these powerful abusers. If they redact these files heavily, it will be clear they are hiding something. Because maybe it's because Donald Trump is mentioned 1,500 times. Maybe it's because they want to shield wealthy donors who are implicated in these files. Regardless of the reason, if these files are heavily redacted without justification, Americans will know that they are once again, this administration, siding with the rich and the powerful. Remember, if the president was actually serious about truth and transparency, his administration would have released these files months ago. All the way back in March, the Attorney General said everything is going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. It's been 9 months. 9 months. And if the administration withholds or heavily redacts these records, it will be clear whose side they are on. We know the money, follow the money. They haven't released those yet. And then when it comes to this, they literally have the power of the entire Congress telling them, get them out there now. That's what these next few days will tell us. And with that, I turn it over to my colleague who's been working on this for months and been right out front on it, Senator Merkley.
We smell a rat. Why? The president campaigned on releasing the files. Pam Bondi assured everyone the files would be released. Kash Patel said the files will be given to the public. And yet here we are. Not a single bit of these files has been released. And then what happened? Well, we had over in the House bipartisan leadership with Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey and a discharge petition. And as the discharge petition started to reach the critical number required, the House went on 8 weeks of vacation in order to avoid releasing these files. That's never happened in American history. And then we find, as they were coming back, what happened? An announcement that some new investigations were being launched. That was on November 14th. And on the evening of the 18th, Senator Schumer went to the floor, asked for unanimous consent that the bill from the House be deemed passed when it arrived in the Senate, and unanimous consent was secured from all to send this message. And what happened the next day? Pam Bondi gets up and says, we have this new information to justify new investigations. The timing of that's awfully suspicious. So the leaders in the House and the Senate demanded a meeting. We wrote to Pam Bondi, Ro Khanna, Tom Massey, myself, Ben Ray Lujan, and we were joined, and I welcomed the bipartisanship of Senator Murkowski to say, we want to know what you're up to. Meet with us and explain these new investigations. What is this new evidence? What are you undertaking? And how are you setting forward a plan to make sure all the documents are released on the 30-day notice? We got a response. The response was, we acknowledge receipt of your letter. Now that's it. So one of the things to watch for is the argument that vast sections had to be redacted in some cases to defend the integrity of some newly invented investigations. One way or another, we anticipate that Trump is going to continue to hide the files that should be released. We must not let it happen. We must not let it happen because we are about accountability for the perpetrators and justice for the victims, and that will not happen unless there is transparency and the documents are released in whole. Thank you.
Senator Blumenthal.
Yes, thanks to my colleagues, most especially to Senator Schumer for being so steadfast and unyielding. I think we need to recognize why we are here. We are here because of the survivors. Because of the survivors pursuing relentlessly the hideous cause of their victimization, Epstein, but also the rich and powerful people who were Epstein's benefactors and his enablers. The survivors created that public pressure that led to the law forcing release of these documents. Donald Trump must listen to the survivors, and we will know what they are concealing because of the survivors. Your question may be, how do you know that they're hiding stuff? The survivors will give us the knowledge we need to pursue the truth. They have been about the truth from the very start, and their truth has to prevail.
Thank you. And so, as I mentioned, we've had a task force of 13 members. We've divided up in different groups because we know, we believe that they will not give full, open disclosure where there's great accessibility. What is Trump hiding? We're going to find out everything that he hides, that he has hidden. Not just not releasing the report, but once he releases the report, what else he is hiding. And that's why we assembled this task force, and we've had great success, great help from the survivors and their lawyers, from others who have prosecuted. Ron's done a great job on the financial end of it. We're going to find everything out. He can run, he can't hide. Questions on this subject? Yes.
What is your sense in terms of the time frame? Is it end of day on Friday, or is it like
Well,
when you need to have these documents? And if you don't, is there a legal recourse that you are already planning?
Okay. The first question. We don't know when exactly they'll release it. They may try to do it at 11:59 p.m. They have to do it by the 19th. That's the law. If they don't release the documents, there's going to be such an outcry from one end of America to the other that I think they'll be forced to do it. Just as they've resisted all along, but we're at this point. The public pressure, as Abe Lincoln said, public sentiment is everything. You've rarely seen so many different political wings of each party come together and say we need this. So we believe they'll be required to do it. Obviously, we would pursue every legal, legislative, and administrative way to get this done as well, but public pressure will be everything. Yes?
How are you planning on addressing this if they do release it and it's so heavily redacted that there's nothing to send?
Well, the people who wrote the legislation drafted it very carefully. We've been consulting our lawyers on just that issue, and we will be able to first make the point that some of the redacted stuff much of the redacted stuff doesn't have to be redacted, and we'll have chapter and verse on that. And second, we will be prepared to argue that in court. But again, our number one ally in this is the American people, and they are going to demand that it be released. And when we say this and this and this shouldn't have been redacted, what are they hiding there? It's going to increase a lot of heat on them.
And clearly, as Senator Schumer knows, having met with them, the victims are not also going to allow this to happen.
Right.
They're going to be leading the way. They want to know what's in these documents.
The victims are already filing lawsuits using the information we've gotten. They are not going to let this just go by the board.
Yes.
What is your plan for making progress on Senator Wyden's bill with regard to Treasury?
Well, why don't I call on Senator Wyden?
We're going to keep pushing to find out what is behind Scott Bessent's stonewalling. The fact of the matter is, on Valentine's Day, before the Biden administration left, we went to look at the SARs, these suspicious activity reports, and we had the staff of senior Republicans. And we're going to keep pushing on a bipartisan basis to A, get all the facts out, because as Senator Schumer has said, this is not a blue and red fight, and B, to make the reforms that are necessary so this never happens again. Too many banks looked the other way. Too many auditors decided this wasn't important. This was again and again a textbook case of disinterest in suffering and families and young girls, and we're not going to let it happen again.
We're also not going to bifurcate this. It's part of one large investigation, one large disclosure. And just as we will do everything we can to alert the public what has happened on the non-financial parts of the documents, with all the horrible things that they did to these women, we're going to continue to keep pressure on the financial parts too. Yes.
So let's say these files do get released. Is it just going to be a public release, and you all are just going to let the American people go through them and come to their own conclusions? Or will Senate Democrats, will there be a coordinated campaign? Will there be anything that we can expect next year when you all
Well, the
return?
first step is to get them all released. That will be our first job. And then, once we have the releases, obviously, it's going to be clear as could be to the American people what has gone on here. But, Democrats will be actively involved, letting people know how disgraceful this has been.
The American people should see everything we see.
Yeah, they'll see it. Yes.
In terms of the timing, if you need to go to court after the release because it's, there are too many redactions or just everything's not there, is that something that can happen quickly, days,
We're
weeks?
going to, we have great lawyers who are ready to go, and we will leave it to them as to the best sense of
And are
timing.
you working
But
with-
certainly, we want to let public pressure build and build and build.
And are you working with the Republicans on the court action? Because the law was bipartisan, would it?
We expect that we will have lots of bipartisan support. Thank you, everybody. Oh, last one.
What steps are you guys taking when it comes to learning more about why Elaine Maxwell was moved? I don't know if you saw that Susie Wiles, the president's chief of staff.
We
said
saw that.
She had no idea. The president had no idea. I'm curious. I don't know whether those will be. in
She
the ballot or not.
should not have been moved, and I think when the files are made public, the pressure on to disclose how that happened, why that happened, and to undo it will be very, very real and strong.
Is that a focus of one of these task forces?
That is one of the focuses is on what happened and what they've tried and what they have tried to do to cover up everything, including what happened with Ghislaine.
Right, you just heard from Democrats there and Chuck Schumer and others speaking about the Epstein files. Remember that the president signed into law back in November the Epstein Files Transparency Act, ordering the DOJ to make public all records, documents, and communications from this particular case. And so they are saying that they are looking for the latest push in that investigation, obviously, as you heard from them. Other things that we're hearing, again, I told you, affordability and the economy, big conversations as we just got the latest jobs report that came out here earlier today. Remember, that had been delayed because of the government shutdown. It looks like in the last month there were 64,000 jobs that were added in the country. And so that is the latest out of that, which has been getting some conversation and some buzz in Washington, D.C. on both sides of the aisle. But today we have from the Virginia Senator Tim Kaine. He spoke, and again, affordability is a big conversation on how to lower costs for small businesses. Let's go ahead and see if we can pull up this press conference that took place just within the day.
The first unpredictable, lawless year of the Trump administration. There is one thing that continues to hold true. Trump's economic policies are making life unaffordable for small businesses, their employees, and their customers. What should be a season of giving has become a season of paying when it comes to America's 36 million small businesses, including 730,000 small businesses in Massachusetts. We have one small business in Massachusetts for every 10 people. 7 million people, 730,000 small businesses. They're paying more for health care. They're paying more for electricity. They're paying more for just about anything, from food to furniture, thanks to Trump's tariffs. Last week, in a move that would shame Ebenezer Scrooge himself, Republicans blocked legislation to help 22 million Americans afford their health care, including 10 million small business owners and their employees in our country. These are workers on Main Street in America. These 10 million small business owners and their employees, they're Rotarians, they're Kiwanians, and they're paying a tremendous additional tax on their business operations because of Trump policies. And now they are staring down an unbearable doubling in health insurance costs as a result of Trump's policies. So one small business owner from Auburndale, Massachusetts, told my office that her premiums will now double to $19,500 a year. Instead of a holiday bonus, small businesses are getting coal in their stockings, and they are unable to expand, and in fact have to think about contracting their business operation. Republicans rejected affordable health care and are doing the same thing with affordable energy. Under this administration, small businesses are paying more to keep the lights on. And no, it's not Christmas lights driving up the bill. It's Republicans' decision to kill low-cost renewable energy projects, blocking permits, ending tax breaks that put clean energy on the same footing as fossil fuels, and unlawfully seizing funds passed by Congress to get lower-cost clean energy on the grid. So Senator Kaine and I each have the same issue. There are companies that want to build AI data centers. And off of our coastline, we have offshore wind projects that we want to bring in. The AI projects would consume in Massachusetts 2,000 megawatts of electricity. The Trump administration is killing 2,000 megawatts of offshore wind from coming into our state. And all we needed was a long extension cord that we could take and plug it in. And then in all those surrounding areas, you would be able to now talk about small businesses. You'd be able to talk about other economic activity. But whether it be electricity, healthcare, tariffs, they have absolutely taken steps which are extremely harmful to small businesses. And instead of supporting affordable power, Trump and his Republicans are propping up big oil and big natural gas, sticking small businesses with the bill, because the less new electricity that comes online from renewable energy is the higher the prices are going to be for the remaining electricity sources for small businesses and for residential. They want to make a priority out of AI, let them do whatever they want, but the price ultimately, the check ultimately will have to be signed by small businesses and by individual residential homeowners. And as a result, small businesses are paying, on average, anywhere from 9 to 13% more for electricity this year than they paid last year. And then there's the biggest small business scam yet. Trump's tariff taxes, which are being imposed upon millions of small businesses across our country. The real Grinch that stole Christmas from small businesses. The Grinch that's making small business owners and their employees across America terrified. In just 6 months, small businesses have paid nearly $47 billion in Trump's tariffs, paying $8.5 billion in September alone. In Massachusetts, small businesses paid $100 million in September alone in those new taxes. That's according to new analysis from my committee. Tariffs have driven up costs for toys, for clothing, even for Christmas trees. And once again, it's small businesses like the one standing with me today who are paying the price. While the big box retailers and online giants see strong holiday sales, small businesses are seeing declining sales this holiday season. It's Robin Hood in reverse. They're taking from the little guys and giving to the biggest, most wealthy people in our country. Add it all up, and this is anything but a wonderful life for Main Street. Trump and Republicans' policies are turning Main Street into Pain Street. Small businesses deserve better, and they don't get the generous exemption or special treatment that Trump's billionaire buddies seem to get. They have no Mar-a-Lago memberships, no golden gifts for President Trump, and no East Wing ballroom invitations. Small businesses operate on razor-thin margins, month to month, week to week, and even day to day. And the next day shouldn't be harder than the last, just to make ends meet for their employees and for their families. We need to put an end to the pain on Main Street, because starting and running a small business should be affordable. So now I'm going to turn it over to Julie Robbins from Akron, Ohio, to share her story. Julie actually came and testified about the impact of tariffs as my witness for a small business committee hearing on manufacturing back in May. So she testified here in this committee, and she's going to tell us now how it's even worse than it was then. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Hello, my name is Julie Robbins, and I am the CEO of Earthquaker Devices, and I'm a member of Main Street Alliance. We manufacture guitar effect pedals and employ 35 people in Akron, Ohio. Although it always would have been easier and less expensive to manufacture our products overseas, we chose to keep our manufacturing in Akron to create good jobs with good benefits. In order to manufacture our line of guitar pedals, we use nearly 1,000 individual components. These components do not originate in the USA, but rather in 15 countries across 34 different harmonized tariff codes. Our cost of goods sold has increased by 30% due to tariffs and other import fees. While these components originate elsewhere, we purchase them from U.S. wholesalers who are passing along the tariffs to us. We have paid nearly $60,000 in tariffs year to date and expect to pay at least $180,000 in 2026 under current tariffs. We are implementing a price increase in January, but we fear that that could decrease demand because while our costs are increasing, our sales are declining. We're down 10% year over year overall and down 30% in exports. I believe this is due to consumer sentiment turning against products made in the USA. In addition to the tariffs, our electricity rates have risen by the same percentage, 30%. These increased expenses have come at a great cost to us. We're not able to hire more workers. Innovation has slowed. We have had to cut marketing and charitable giving expenses from our budget. It's not reasonable to take on more debt in order to finance these costs. We're already carrying debt from the financing of 2 production facilities and an equipment loan to purchase a state-of-the-art PCB assembly line, as well as a line of credit on which we are carrying a balance. The implication that we should take out loans and pay interest to finance a tax abruptly imposed on us by the federal government is offensive. Further debt would not be supported by our covenant with our bank under current sales conditions. My husband and I are guarantors on all of our business loans, and our home is collateral. If our business fails, we would lose everything, including our home, just as we have 2 daughters in college. My company is not alone in facing these hardships. In Ohio, a recent survey of 266 manufacturers conducted by Magnet, part of Ohio's Manufacturing Extension Partnership, found that 43% of respondents believe that economic uncertainty is significantly hampering growth. That's up 10 points since 2023 and the highest on record. Only 9% have brought production back to the U.S. 40% say rising raw material costs are holding back growth and severe impacts are increasing. Small manufacturers are feeling the sharpest pain, with some reporting drops of 40% of revenue or more. Many leaders say that managing tariff volatility is consuming time and attention that was once spent on innovations. While some companies are seeing gains, the average loss in sales of 16% is nearly double the average gains at 9%. This imbalance shows the uneven tariff impact, how uneven the tariff impact has become across supply chains. Just weeks after releasing the survey, federal and state funding for Ohio manufacturing extension partnerships, including Magnet, was unexpectedly suspended without due process. Because of the cessation of funds, 2 of the MEP locations in Ohio closed as of last Friday, and others are at risk. We have received valuable support and training to improve efficiency and grow sales from Magnet. Congress needs to bring down the cost to operate a small business. We can start by passing the Small Business Relief Act and fully funding the MEPs. I'd like to thank Senator Markey and Senator Kane for your support.
Julie, thank you so much. I will be a closer, but we first want to hear from Shirley Modlin. Shirley and her husband Dave have a business, 3D Design and Manufacturing, in Powhatan, Virginia, which is in sort of the western suburbs into the country from Richmond. And Julie, your and Shirley's stories are somewhat similar. As we were comparing notes, businesses that you started, your family started about 20 years ago. And so now please welcome Shirley Modlin.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak on the ACH tax credits. My name is Shirley Modlin. I'm the owner, co-owner with my husband of 3D Design and Manufacturing in Powhatan, which is a rural community just outside of Richmond, Virginia. We provide mechanical engineering services and manufacturing services. We provide mechanical engineering design services to some of the very largest industries. We work with corporations in the beverage, pharmaceutical, automotive, and space technology. So I want to emphasize that small manufacturers are a critical part of America's economy because these large corporations rely on us to solve some of their largest problems. Affordability for small businesses like mine is increasingly out of reach, from our ability to provide benefits that retain talented workers to our ability to keep our lights on and balance our supply chains amid inflationary tariff spikes. Small manufacturers must have a healthy workforce. If an employee is out sick, that machine doesn't run and the customer does not get what they need when they need it. Due to the lawmakers' inability to extend access to the enhanced premium tax credit, my employees are facing premium increases at approximately 2 to 3 times what they currently pay. To help offset this, I provide a $350 a month stipend. That's to help them pay for their health care, purchased mostly through the ACA marketplace. Even with this stipend, employees still have to pay 2/3 of their total cost. I, as a small manufacturer with a very small margin, I do not have the ability to increase this stipend, especially not in alignment with the increase in the health care costs. With the overall uncertainty of the economy, such as the tariff prices, from suppliers or inflated energy costs, my energy costed over $100 to $200 more a month on average. I'm faced with a difficult decision to provide a small raise or increase my health stipend. I cannot afford to do both. I might add, I'm a calendar year, my employees always get that raise at the end of the year. But with the raise comes these increased premiums, and nobody can afford it. As a result of these increased premiums, the employees could choose to reduce or completely cancel their health insurance entirely. Without access to health care plans that cover their needs, my employees will leave my company in search of an employer that has better coverage. 9 times out of 10, they're going to go to a large corporation. And that leaves me out of the talent pool for the critical talent that's needed in my industry, a highly skilled machinist. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to come in here and speak on behalf of the small businesses and the employees, and I want to thank the small business majority for the invitation as well. Thank you very much for your time.
God willing, it will one day be a small business majority. I thank you, Shirley, and to Dave. Shirley told me that this business began in the garage. It's a lot of businesses start that way. I'm really pleased, Senator, that you let a non-small business committee member come and join you. And he asked me because I came out of a small business family. My dad ran this ironworking and welding shop, manufacturing business in the stockyards of Kansas City. 5 employees in a tough year. In a great year, 7. Plus.
Okay, we're going to pause that here real quick. Again, you're listening to Senator there, Tim Kaine, and others there from Virginia talking about lowering costs for small businesses and the impact that a small business owner says that she's experiencing right now just in even providing for her employees. But right now we do have Senate Majority Leader John Thune, who is speaking from the podium. Let's go to him and see what they're talking about right now in D.C.
are we up to snuff when it comes to dealing with the rapid military buildup by the Chinese military?
I think we have this saying in my office, and I believe it's true, and that is that if you don't get national security right, the rest is just conversation. You got to be able to defend the country, and I think that the things that we are doing, the investments were made not only in the bill we passed last summer, the reconciliation bill, but this Defense Authorization Act, although it doesn't have as much in there for defense as a lot of us would like, is a step in the right direction. And I think the Defense Appropriations Bill, which hopefully we'll vote on later this week, is another example of the investment that we need to be making to ensure that in a dangerous world we are prepared to defend America and American interests against the bad actors that are out there. And I think peace through strength is not just a phrase. It's not just a throwaway line. It is a policy that most of us believe in, and I think this White House believes in, and we're going to be working closely with them to ensure that we have the resources in place in order to keep the country safe.
Secretary Hegseth said that the Pentagon is not going to be releasing the full video of the September 2nd double strike against the initial survivors. A number of Republican senators say they disagree with that. They think the full video should be released. Personally, what's your view on that issue?
I have, as I've said before, left that up to the Senate Armed Services Committee. We have a committee that has jurisdiction over all things pertaining to national security and an intelligence committee as well, both of which have, I think, great insights into how best to handle important, sensitive information like this. And so I'm going to trust their judgment on that. I encourage you to take it up with Chairman Wicker, Chairman Cotton, or others who are on those committees and who have seen and will see most of that information.
Keeping with your calls to return to stability and lower the temperature in politics, do you think the president should retract the statements he made about Rob Reiner that have been widely criticized on both sides of the aisle?
Look, I have answered that question. You guys have been posing that for the last couple of days. All I can say is my view of it. I can't speak for what the president has said. What I can tell you is I think it was a horrible tragedy. Just tragic loss of life, a story which continues to unfold, and all I can say is that my sympathies and condolences and prayers are with the family and with their friends. Thank you all very much.
Okay, you were just listening to Senator John Thune there. We wanted to take that, not knowing exactly what he was going to touch on, but obviously you have reporters asking a series of questions with a variety of topics at the moment. Okay, I think that's actually a pretty good segue because we're hearing from the senator there on the Republican side of things talking about issues. And then earlier today, we actually heard from Republicans in the House as well. So I think we can go ahead and cue that up, some of the topics that were discussed, the main one being the healthcare system here in America and what will take place tomorrow, according to House Speaker Mike Johnson, in terms of a new proposal that they want to bring to the House floor to look at healthcare within the country. Again, this as those premiums are set to expire by January 1st. So if we have that cue to go, Naya, you can give me the thumbs up and we'll play it.
Well, good morning, everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. It's good to see everybody. I want to begin today by addressing this week's tragedy. Because of hate, anti-Semitism, and terrorism, lives were lost in Syria, Australia, and at Brown University. My prayers are with the family of these victims, and I stand with so many who hope the light of Hanukkah drives out the horrific hate that we've seen. Now, turning to the topic this week, which is one of the topics, which is healthcare. Let me begin by being very clear and very honest about the state of healthcare today. The Democrats' healthcare program has failed. And I want to remind everybody, what's the name of the healthcare program? Obamacare. This was a Democrat program, and I'm finally excited to see that the Democrats now have got on board with us that the affordable health care is anything but affordable. So, again, Republicans stand united to fix the problem again. But let's not forget where the root of the problem started. Democrats broke it, we will fix it, and happily to do that. Most Americans can't afford Democrats' insurance plan. The plans are riddled with waste, with fraud, with abuse, and if we're being honest, they only work for one group, big insurance companies. Democrats' health care plan doesn't work, it's never worked. So Republicans are pursuing options that do things a little bit differently. First, we're working to fundamentally lower costs through reforms like cost-sharing reductions. You'll see a common theme, lowering costs versus subsidies. We want to lower premiums for all Americans. Second, we're proposing options that actually expand access to all Americans. When Democrats passed their disastrous health care law in 2010, they promised that if you like your plan, you can keep it. They promised choice. They promised you low costs. Not a single one of those promises were true. Not one. In fact, healthcare premiums have risen over 60% since the implementation of the Affordable Care Act. And I ask you this, profitability from the insurance companies are 600% greater since Obamacare. Has your income increased 600%? Ask yourself that. I know mine hasn't. Here's the difference. Republicans are fighting for a solution. Democrats actually want this issue. They want health care to be an issue. Republicans actually want solutions for Americans to bring down premiums, not subsidies. That's why Democrats are refusing to rally around real reforms. Instead, they're embracing the very broken system of which they created. But this has been true all year. Democrats have pushed political issues while Republicans have actually delivered solutions. No one's talking about the border today, right? Why is it? It's because we fixed it. The border's closed. People are safe. But you don't hear anyone talking about that because Republicans fixed it. Republicans delivered bigger paychecks by eliminating taxes on tips, taxes on overtime, taxes on Social Security. Republicans delivered lower gas prices by cutting regulation and expanding permitting reform. Time and time again, Republicans delivered results for the American people. Real results. And we're just getting started. When we return in the new year, we're going to see a continued focus and push for lower costs and bigger paychecks because that's what the American people need from us. That's what they want from us. Now, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Representative Marionette Miller-Meeks, who is a veteran and a doctor who's actually been the leading voice here in the Republican healthcare solution. Marionette?
Well, I thank Chairwoman McLean, but also Speaker Johnson, Leaders Scalise, Whip Emmer. It's an honor to stand with the House Republican leadership to talk about one of the biggest issues facing American families today, and that's the rising cost of health care. As Chairwoman McLean said, I'm an Army veteran. I was both a nurse and a physician, and I'm the only member of Congress to have served as the State Director of the Public Health Department. Not only is this issue important to me, I started my journey as a doctor because I was burned at 15 years old. So it was healthcare and the need for healthcare that drove what I do today. And I spent my career treating patients and fixing broken systems, solving problems, and I can tell you, thanks to the Democrats' failed policy, which they now admit, our healthcare system went from ill to the ICU. For 15 years, the Unaffordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, has done the opposite of what it promised. President Obama promised to lower premiums by $2,500 and to bend the cost curve down. Has that happened? No. Not in the past 15 years, and it won't happen if we just continue to pass subsidies on to profitable health insurance companies. It doesn't even include out-of-pocket cost. It's not sustainable, and it's not working. Republicans want to lower health care costs for everyone, not just a select few, and not just to continue to subsidize profitable insurance companies. Our plan, the Lower Health Care Premiums for All Americans Act, is a Republican solution to this crisis. It doesn't throw more taxpayer dollars at insurance companies. It puts patients and doctors in the driver's seat. Our bill lowers premiums by 11% by funding cost-sharing reductions the right way, not just through COVID-era bailouts that benefited only big insurers. That's up to $1,871 in savings for families each year and over $36 billion in taxpayer savings. We're delivering real PBM reform to stop middlemen from inflating drug prices. Even in my own state, my PBM transparency bill that passed in 2019 when I was a state senator, one of our counties reported that they saved $80,000 last year through their transparency alone. We want to give small businesses the ability and the power to negotiate better deals. That alone will save taxpayers $2 billion, but most importantly, save small businesses. We're expanding association health plans by allowing small businesses and self-employed workers to team up to expand choices, which result in premiums going down by as much as 30%, even those small businesses that are in the exchanges. As we're strengthening choice arrangements so more small businesses can afford to offer coverage and more workers can choose a plan that fits their lives and their budgets. This is a plan for working Americans, not for profitable insurance companies. It's about lowering costs, increasing access, and restoring sanity to our healthcare system. Most importantly, it is a plan that lowers healthcare costs for everyone and puts patients and doctors in the driver's seat. Thank you, and I look forward to getting this bill across the finish line and to the American people.
Like our conference chair, I want to start by offering my condolences to the families of the victims of several tragic events over the weekend. The shooting at Brown University that took the lives of two promising young students. The vicious ISIS attack on our service members in Syria claimed 3 American lives. And finally, the horrific anti-Semitic terrorist attack in Australia that killed 15 innocent people at a Hanukkah celebration. Our hearts are heavy as we grieve the evil that was put on display this past weekend, and we continue to pray for the full recovery of those injured and for the comfort of the families whose lives are now forever changed. Now, turning our attention to the House Republican agenda. This year, Republicans delivered one of the most consequential pieces of legislation in our lifetime. The Working Families Tax Cut Act, passed by the House Republicans and signed into law by President Trump, achieved historic America First victories, such as no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax relief for seniors, an increased child tax credit, and Trump savings accounts for newborn children. 2026 is gearing up to be the year of deeper pocketbooks and lower costs for the American people. Thanks to this landmark legislation, tax refunds could increase by $1,000 per taxpayer next year. That's more money in your pocket for you to invest, save, and grow. Waitresses, law enforcement officers, and parents will have more of their hard-earned dollars to put food on the table and to support their families. Not only did our bill deliver the largest tax cut for middle-class Americans, it also addressed rampant waste, fraud, and abuse in programs like Medicaid and SNAP. As we have all witnessed with the fraud scandals coming out of our state of Minnesota, these programs have long been ripe for fraud. But House Republicans and Donald Trump implemented common sense reforms to strengthen the system to benefit the people who need it the most, not fraudsters who sent millions to terrorists abroad. Which brings me to addressing the failure of my governor, Tim Walz. We anxiously await Tim Walz's response to House Oversight Committee Chairman Jamie Comer regarding what he knew about the $1 billion in fraud. Walz has had 7 years to address and stop the fraud. It wasn't until President Trump made this a national issue that Walz started to pretend that he cares about his constituents' tax dollars supporting a terrorist group in Somalia. Accountability is coming, Governor. Our dishonest, failed governor must and will answer for his complete incompetence. With that, I'll turn it over to our leader, Steve Scalise.
Thank you, Wes. My prayers go out to all those killed in so many different horrible tragedies. I mean, here in America, Brown University, you look at our two Army soldiers that were killed, the anti-Semitic attacks on the other side of the globe. Just remind you, during this Christmas season, this Hanukkah season, it's a special time. It's a time we celebrate, but it's also a time where evil still lurks here and all around the globe. And we just pray for those who have been murdered, harmed, injured. We pray for those who have evil in their hearts, that God can touch them and hopefully remove that evil so that they don't go harm innocent people. This week here in the House, as we finish our work for the year, we're taking up some very important bills. And start with the SPEED Act. We've heard complaints from members all across the country that know that just trying to build things in America, road projects, bridges.
Okay, we're going to break away from that right now because there is a press conference taking place in Washington State. This is after they have seen some weather issues there in the last 24 hours that has led to massive flooding across the state, and including one levee breach that prompted evacuations, and according to our partners there in ABC, have led to at least one person dead in that flash flooding. Let's go ahead and listen to officials there again. This is out of Washington in the Seattle area.
The challenge, but our hearts go out to that individual and their family and loved ones. I also want to express my deep appreciation to our first responders, the National Guard, our emergency management teams, numerous state employees, and all those who are lending a hand to help Washingtonians through this emergency. Long hours, as you might imagine, are the norm for those individuals. We deeply appreciate their hard work and dedication. I've met a number of folks who are not only doing that work, but then going to their homes at the end of a long day to try and stabilize their home situation and deal with the family situation because the floods are impacting them quite directly. And that is quite inspiring to see that level of dedication, even though they have their own risks that are personal, that they're out there doing their work to help other Washingtonians. As we've been saying every day since it started, the situation is extremely unpredictable. And that is something I want to emphasize again to all Washingtonians. We've seen that unpredictability just in the last 24 hours as two examples, the levee breach in Tukwila and also the situation in Pacific Washington this evening where there was an emergency evacuation. I've seen video of people literally on the streets in the middle of the night coming out of their homes. We have, this is not, and it's not a 1 or 2 day event, right? We're in for the long haul, and all that water is putting a lot of stress on our infrastructure. And we're seeing that in real time. And that is something I just want to emphasize to Washingtonians to be alert. If you get an evacuation order, for God's sakes, follow it. I was down in Pacific County with Executive Mello Sunday, I think it was, and met with water rescue personnel, and one of those individuals said, this is someone who's done a lot of water rescue in his professional life. He mentioned in the last couple of days being in a situation in the water that he felt was a life-threatening situation for him. Nobody wants to put our first responders in that level of danger. If you get an evacuation order, leave. That's for your own safety. It is also for the safety of first responders, because guess what? If you're in trouble and you call, they will go get you out. That puts themselves at risk. And so we're asking individuals for this very volatile situation to make sure that they're listening to those orders. I also just want to also add the coordination at all levels of government with tribes, with organizations that you'll hear from, communities across our state has truly been tremendous. That is, I ask at every stop I go to, and I've been to a number, is there anything else you need? Is there any more coordination you need? The response has always been no, we've got the resources we need. People are responding quickly. That's from Grays Harbor to Yakima, Stehekin, all around. That has been the response I'm hearing from folks. And that coordination We need it, and it has served us well. It's helped. The other thing I think has helped is significant investments in infrastructure in recent years. In Ording, for example, investments in a levee system there compared to floods several years ago, night and day in terms of the impacts there. Mount Vernon, Washington, the seawall there literally saved the downtown. King County, the King County Flood Control District has invested hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to shore up our flood system here and prepare for it. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with individuals saying, it's bad, it's really bad, but the magnitude would have been far, far worse had we not made those investments. And these are investments just in the last recent years, have literally, their commitments saved lives, saved businesses, saved entire downtowns. So I think all those things have served us well, and I'm grateful for leaders over recent years who have made those investments and the individuals in the state of Washington willing to invest in that. While it will be some time before we know the full scope of the emotional, physical, and financial impact, this natural disaster is undoubtedly one of the most devastating in our state's history. I do want to take a moment to speak directly to Washingtonians who are directly impacted by this emergency. We see you. We know the situation you're in. We're doing everything we can and moving heaven and earth to get resources to you as quickly as humanly possible. All Washingtonians, even those not directly impacted by this disaster, need to brace themselves. We are in for the long haul with this natural disaster. We'll provide more information, but our infrastructure has been compromised. We'll have to dig ourselves out of this situation. This is not a days-long thing or a weeks-long thing. This will be going on for months. This is a very significant event in the history of our state, and that's an understatement. And that's why we're working as hard as we can around the clock to treat it exactly that way. To give you a sense, we've already had over 1,200 rescues and evacuations across more than 10 counties in Washington state. Once again, Washingtonians need to stay alert to the situation and obey road closure signs and evacuation orders. We expect additional widespread flooding across the state today and tomorrow. The Skagit and Snoqualmie rivers, as just two examples, are both expected to surpass major flood stage, cresting today and tomorrow. Importantly, we're also expecting major high winds across the region in the next 24 to 36 hours. The report I had yesterday was up to 60 miles an hour. You can imagine in a state that's been inundated with the amount of moisture that we've experienced, those type of high winds can be potentially very dangerous and create all sorts of challenges for us in the work that we're doing and making the situation even more challenging for first responders and for all of us to respond to this situation. Roads and highways. State Department of Transportation, you'll be hearing from Julie, has reopened more than 60 roads since the storm started. I'm deeply appreciative of the hardworking Washington employees who are out there around the clock reopening those roads. It seems like for every two they reopen, another one, something happens, right? So, but they're out there relentlessly trying to keep those open for Washingtonians. We deeply appreciate the hard work of those state employees. As of this morning, there are closures, I believe, on 13 state highways. That number, of course, changes almost hourly, daily for sure. But as of now, that's the number. There are currently additionally 7 road restrictions. Several state highways have been severely damaged. Julia will provide more information, but I just want to highlight a lengthy stretch of Highway 2, as you probably know, is severely damaged. It is very difficult for us to project how long anything will take to repair. We're just getting our arms around the scope of the challenge up there. But as an example of what Washingtonians need to expect, we anticipate that Highway 2 will be closed for months. It's premature to estimate exactly how long that will be, but that is obviously a major highway. We understand the implications to business and individuals and human lives on not having that highway available for an extended period of time. We're going to do everything we possibly can to repair it as quickly as possible, but literally underwater in stages, there's major issues on that roadway, on that highway, as just one example. We understand that many Washingtonians' lives have been deeply impacted personally by this emergency. We're also moving quickly to try and get relief to those individuals. I've had numerous conversations with my team, with local elected officials across our state, see what can we do to pool immediate assistance to folks who may need assistance with a hotel stay, groceries, baby diapers, that type of thing. This morning I signed an amendment to my emergency declaration. The amended proclamation adds more information about county-specific impacts in 14 counties, and it activates several state cash and benefits assistance programs to provide emergency support. I'm appreciative of the legislators who are here and others who have worked in recent years to create this system in place so we can move those dollars out on a very short-term basis while we move forward on trying to get a declaration of emergency relief from the federal government. We're working to activate as many state resources as we can. We currently have identified $3.5 million that I, as governor, can move on my own without legislative action. I know the legislature supports that decision anyway, but of course there are limits on what I can do as governor. Of course, without legislative action, we've identified that $3.5 million. We'll provide information to the public as soon as we're able to stand that process up where folks can access. I'm also working with leadership in the House and the Senate to move forward on essentially first week legislation of the legislative session to get additional resources to folks right away and increase that dollar amount. More to come on that. I want to make sure I finish the conversations I need to have before making a public announcement, but obviously we're working hard to make sure we increase the amount of short-term funding available to folks who are really dealing with the crisis situation right now. Our Emergency Management Division is also setting up disaster case management. That will provide assistance to counties and tribes to hire disaster case managers. These case managers will provide long-term assistance to Washingtonians and help them navigate the resources available to them. We expect to bring that online soon. In addition to these individual assistance funds, there are other resources and assistance through many different agencies. This is a very non-exclusive list, but just give a sense of scale of the type of work that's being done. The Washington Department of Agriculture expedited USDA foods to Skagit County and will deliver more than 70,000 pounds of food tomorrow to local food pantries and meal programs. They're also helping farmers find services, including helping identify locations to shelter animals. The Healthcare Authority is instructing Apple Health pharmacies to replace lost or inaccessible medications or supplies due to flooding. The Department of Social and Health Services is helping connect people who are deaf, blind, or hard of hearing to resources, including its hearing equipment replacement program. The Office of the Insurance Commissioner has teams of experts ready to deploy when the time is right to help homeowners and businesses. That is just a sampling of a few examples, but as you can imagine, across many agencies and governments and tribes, a massive amount of work is being done right now to make sure we're getting resources out to individuals, and we all understand that we need to move in a manner consistent with the scope of the challenge that Washingtonians are facing. We're also moving forward to seek federal funding for needs as well. The federal emergency declaration granted by President Trump last week brought in federal resources to deal with the emergency right in front of us, saving lives, clearing debris on roadways, for example. General Welsh will talk more about some of that work as well. It did not offer monetary assistance or assistance to individuals. That's not the way that works. So what we're working on is a major disaster declaration. That's what unlocks significant financial resources for individuals and for local governments and the state for the impacts that will no doubt be profound from a financial standpoint. In order to get that declaration, we need to meet several requirements. We must show the scale of the disaster is beyond our ability as a state to fully respond, confirm we have taken appropriate action as a state under our emergency plans, provide an estimate on the amount and severity of damage to the public and private sector. This can be a time-consuming process. We've already started the conversation with local governments. We've had many conversations to make sure we're coordinating as quickly as possible to get that information and make a compelling case to the federal government of the scope and size of the damage that's been done to our state. We need to describe the resources utilized to alleviate the disaster and provide preliminary estimates on the type of assistance needed. I am confident we will make a very compelling case for disaster relief. Maybe I'll just briefly mention there are 3 types of FEMA disaster assistance that we'll be seeking. Public assistance can be provided to state, tribes, and local governments and certain nonprofits for emergency work to repair or replace facilities damaged by the disaster. That would include things like roads and bridges that we'll desperately need assistance with. Also, hazard mitigation assistance can be provided for projects like flood mitigation. And third, and importantly, individual assistance can help with a variety of costs for individuals who are facing significant costs after a disaster, including temporary housing, home repair, counseling, and legal services. We're also working with the Small Business Administration to get a disaster declaration from them, which will allow homeowners, renters, and business owners to access low-interest disaster loans. And before I turn to the general to say a few words, to put this in some context for Washingtonians, this is a major event in our state's history. It is truly historic. The river levels we've seen are historic, and we've been tracking those river levels for more than a century. Every day I get multiple briefings, and just as one example with Julie on roads, like clearly just highway, those highways are under a lot of stress right now, and it'll take us time to even determine how long it will take to reopen some and exactly what that damage is. So, I deeply appreciate Washingtonians pulling together during this really challenging time. Neighbors are helping neighbors. Communities are helping communities. I can't tell you how many elected officials have said, hey, you know what, our community's not impacted, but we want help. What can we do? We've got resources. That's the approach. That does not surprise me in our state. We're all pulling together to address an extremely challenging situation. And for those Washingtonians, again, who are directly impacted, I just want you to know, speaking to you directly, we're all doing, and many thousands of other Washingtonians are doing everything we possibly can to get you help right away. Thank you so much all for being here. I'm going to turn now to the general for additional information. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you all for being here today. And certainly thanks to our new King County executive and new dad as of this morning, Executive Sahalai. King County has been a tremendous partner in this, and we truly appreciate the collaboration, and really so has the media. Appreciate everybody being here, appreciate the support. You're sharing critical life-saving information. You're sharing it every day, and in some cases, every hour. We've been relying on you to get the word out about evacuation notices, weather forecasts, and when we move into this recovery phase, we'll be turning to you to help share some of the information to get people help with some other resources out there. We are now on day 8 of this disaster, and for me and many others here, I think it's feeling a lot like Groundhog Day. Every morning we wake up, we pull out our phones out, and we look to see for some improvement out there, but Mother Nature seems to keep throwing us another curveball. I spent the last week out in our communities surveying the damage. I've seen homes filled with several feet of water. For those impacted, my heart goes out to you, and I pledge that we will do whatever we can to help you recover. We all have families that are heading into the holiday season this year without a place to stay, and this is not going to be an easy road ahead. The Washington National Guard is doing what we can to assist those who need it and prevent further damage. You see it on the commercials. When events like this thing happen, our men and women leave their civilian jobs, they get into their cars, they leave their families, and they offer their communities a helping hand. And I wear a patch on my uniform, and it says mission, people, and community. And this is the emphasis on the community part. Our women and men live and breathe this, and the last 8 days have demonstrated this community commitment. We still have approximately 250 soldiers and airmen helping with this response. They've filled over 15,000 sandbags. They're preventing people from driving down dangerous roads, and they're going door to door to help with evacuations. We have aviation crews that have helped with search and rescue and to gain situational awareness. Our helicopters and pilots remain on standby and will likely get a bird's eye view in the next coming days of damaged roads across the state. Yesterday, we sent a team immediately to Tukwila to help with the levee breach. Our team was asked to walk the levees and dikes and help identify any weaknesses. And early just this morning, we moved people and 8 vehicles closer to the town of Pacific to help emergency crews responding to the levee breach there. We will keep these men and women prepared to go at a moment's notice, and if necessary, quickly add to our numbers. We have more folks that can roll out the door if they're necessary. With that, I want to remind you that the National Guard does not self-deploy, and that's for good reason. We go where we're asked, either by the governor or local jurisdictions. So if you wonder why the National Guard is in one place or another, it's because someone has asked us to be there. So let me stress this. We are helping here for this flood response, and we're helping with our local partners. Any suggestion to the contrary just isn't true. I want to give a shout out to our federal partners who are here that have been a tremendous help.
A major situation that they have playing out there in Washington State. I want to show you real quick as we have just a few moments here before the end of our stream. This is what a Google map looks like right now. If you go into that Pacific region of Washington, all of those red dots there, those are flood situations that are being plagued across the area right now. Serious flash floods has already led to 1 death, according to the officials there in Washington. You were just listening to the governor of Washington, Bob Ferguson, speak about this causing infrastructure issues that are going to cause months of response time. Also, they've had so far about 1,200 rescues, major winds and more flooding expected coming in today. They also have been able to reopen about 60 roads since the storm started, but they have several state highways that have now been severely damaged, and they're working to get resources to people across the region. We're going to continue to monitor that, and I know we don't really have time, but I did want to at least mention, too, something that has a direct connection here to Virginia. Right now, we're seeing the opening moments in which we are believed to see the unveiling of a new statue in the U.S. Capitol for in the honor of a teenager back in 1951, a black young woman who walked out of her school. Barbara Rose Johns led a walkout of her high school, Robert Moton High School in Farmville, Virginia. And it led to one of the 5 cases that was later used in Brown versus Board of Education, which eventually we know led to the Supreme Court declaring segregation unconstitutional. Her statute is about to be unveiled in the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol, and it is replacing the Robert E. Lee statue that was taken down in 2020. So you're seeing there people gathering. I just saw Governor-elect Abigail Spanberger, who is pictured there but covered at the moment, and other Virginia leaders, including Senators Kane and Warner, expected to be there also. I just wanted to mention that. We're out of time, though, for this particular stream. Thank you so much for joining us here for 13 News Now Plus live Impact News on the app. And we'll be back tomorrow, 10 o'clock in the morning. And again at 1 p.m. too as well. Thank you so much.